Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everybody to the May 14th Plan and Zone Commission meeting, City of Davenport. If anybody has a cell phone, you have it on, I'd appreciate if you turned it off. We will start with our public hearing tonight. Commissioner Eichelberry, could you please read roll?
Dunlop,
Here.
Eichelberry, here. Hepner,
Here.
Johnson, A. Tallman is excused. Ingram,
Present.
Manus is excused. Garrington, Schilling, here. Thomas, here. Schneider,
Here.
we have a quorum.
Thank you, Commissioner Eichelberry. We have one item of new business in the public hearing is case ROW 24-03 is a request of Davenport's Community School District to vacate West Fifth Street between Cedar and Howell Street in the 3rd Ward. Matt?
Next one, Laura. All right, thank you. So the request is coming from the Davenport Community School District. It is to vacate Fifth Street, so between Cedar Street and Howell. So just to the north side, you have Smart Middle School, and then the southern half is the former Monroe Elementary School, which was demolished earlier. So the purpose is really to facilitate the redevelopment of Smart Intermediate. So Fifth Street currently, as it sits today, it allows for two-way traffic, both east and west, and it has head-in parking on both sides of the street, and it functions more so as like a parking lot for the schools, rather than maybe like your standard street parking might. And the subject area, it's just under an acre. So Smart Middle School has been working with a team of developers to generate a concept plan for the redevelopment and how the site might facilitate. So they have explored options to preserve Fifth Street. However, that has led to some challenges, being the significant increase in building height that would be required. So that zoning district only has a building height of 35 feet. So having less land to span across would result in additional floors. There would be challenges with phasing the construction around the existing building and lack of site amenities on one half of the block. And then there's also safety concerns if they were to keep Fifth Street in place. So this concept, which saves Fifth Street, would put all the site amenities on the south half of the block, resulting in students having to cross the street throughout the day. So therefore, they've proposed a design. It would involve demoing most of the existing Smart Middle School. However, they keep the gym and then do an addition on the other half of the site. So on that right side of the page is the proposed concept plan showing the building that would span across Fifth Street, and then the relocation of athletic fields, basketball courts, kind of their parking lot and site design that would function around it. So city staff are looking at the impacts on existing traffic and how that will impact the existing neighborhood. So as it stands today, Cedar Street is a one-way street between 4th and 5th going north. It does allow for parking on both sides of the street. Howell Street between 4th and 5th is one-way southbound with street parking just on one side. And that's a pretty narrow street. It's only about 20 feet wide. And then, of course, you have 4th Street, which is one-way heading west. And then you have two-way traffic pretty much north of 5th Street. So the surrounding area is zoned residential, surrounded by single and two-family. And then our future land use map has the school as civic and institutional, surrounded by residential general. And then there's also urban corridor along 4th and 5th Street, and then Division Street further to the east. So the vacation of public right-of-way, two-step process. First is to determine if the right-of-way is needed for a public purpose, and then second to negotiate and determine the terms of conveyance. In terms of public input, typically we notify people within 200 feet of the request. In this case, since it impacts a much larger area, we basically spanned it out about 2 blocks from Pine Street to the west to Division to the east, then going from 4th Street to the north half of 6th Street. Then we also published a notice in the Quad City Times. And then a neighborhood meeting was held on May 7th at Smart Middle School. There were only about 5 people in attendance. More so just curious about the future plans for the school. And staff have received just one phone call in response to those letters. That resident was largely opposed to just general development at the school. So for today, it's to hold the public hearing, and then a formal staff recommendation will be provided at our next meeting on June 4th.
Thank you, Matt. Commissioners, any questions of staff at this time? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would care to step forward and express your opinion or ask a question? Seeing none,
So we do have the petitioner's architect here. It's John Hand with the Bray Architects, if you have any questions about the project.
could you step forward and give just a brief overview of what your ultimate goal is with the school, just to enlighten the commission?
Yep, so,
Could you identify yourself? And
John Manbray Architects, we are working with the district. They are in the process of doing about $160 million worth of facility improvements throughout the district. Smart Middle School was one of a handful, it's about 7 projects that are gonna be occurring. Smart Middle School, the original building was built in 1914. The arrangement of the building, the size of the classrooms are just really not conducive to today's level of education. Also, there's a pretty big sentiment in the district that buildings on what we would call the lower west side of Davenport don't get a lot of attention. So it's really important to the district to put a strong message that you are important, your students matter, we want to make an improvement to the building. So Smart Middle School was identified as one of those improvements. The building doesn't lend itself to be adapted well. So what really became the best solution was to look to create an expansion that would let us build a new building essentially and keep the old one operational during construction. But to do that, as Matt stated, it has to extend across that Fifth Street right-of-way. What it does is it allows us to park all of the support spaces for educational. So your art, music, library, cafeteria space, kind of stretching in the middle portion of that plan. The upper portion of the plan is our PE and physical education spaces. And the very bottom portion of the plan is a house model for education. So it's a 3-story building. There's 2 houses per grade level. Each house is sort of its own self-contained unit. And what that does is it lets us take a big population of students, bring it into a smaller scale. So there's a lot more interaction between student and teacher. It's really an effort to help improve the quality of education, improve the outcomes of the students as they move through 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. This development plan was arrived at for the purpose of really getting that quality of education improved, but also improved logistics in the area. They know, with having had 2 buildings across the street from each other, site logistics are a problem. So access into the campus was a big thing. So all of the site plan is arranged so that traffic gets off of the street. So parking lots have drop-off lanes to the bottom, to the center, and then at the top is a small bus loop. So buses and vehicular traffic get off of the city streets and onto the property so that we don't congest them as much as we have in the past. Having all the amenities that the kids use right in front of the building, so that's a grass field for PE and athletics, as well as some hardscape for PE and extracurriculars. Being in front of the building just helps the safety and security, so those students aren't moving across the street to get them, but it also puts a lot of eyes out there for supervision. So the building faces those, that is the front door of the building that you're gonna drive through those pieces. That is an effort to just help with control and safety. At the middle school level, give the kids a chance to bolt, and they will. So if we sent them across the street to a different campus, they're probably gonna leave. And I don't mean that facetiously. Kids are hard at that age. The other piece of this is we have plenty of opportunities for parking for events. We have plenty of opportunities for green space and landscape around this building. So we feel that we take a lot of burden off of the neighborhood, but we're gonna beautify it as well. So the general approach is that we're gonna have a bright, beautiful, new building down here with the intent that it does something to improve education, but we're really hoping it injects some feeling of something better and a little higher quality down in the West End, and maybe it sparks just some interest in better development down at this portion of the city.
Thank you very much. I was very impressed with the presentation that was brought forward at the neighborhood meeting and the enormity of the project. Can you let the commission know the rough budget of what this involves, just to show how much money is being invested in the West End?
This is approximately a $50 million investment just on this campus. So
Impressive.
it's not a small investment.
No, I appreciate that information. Commission, anybody have a question for Bray's representative? Any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. I appreciate your attendance tonight.
Thank you.
Very much. Final call for questions of staff. Would anybody else in the audience like to speak?
I have one quick comment, and that we will acknowledge that there are utilities in Fifth Street. It is the school district's plan to vacate those, and the plan would be for the existing smart school to be in operation during construction. So there'll be some temporary relocation so that school can be in operation still during construction. But the plan for any kind of infrastructure that is in place would be to remove it.
Sounds like a bunch of extension cords. Thank you, Laura, for that extra information. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. Nope. I just thought of one quick question. So will the one-ways still meet head-on right in the front of school?
It's being evaluated. Cedar Street's wide enough to be two-way. Howell is the challenge. It can be it's as narrow as 18 feet. So it very much is a neighborhood street. I don't think what the school district is planning will drive any additional traffic to Howell, really. So we're evaluating, at least in the short term, what that means for terms of Howell. And then if there are future long-range plans, we as a city can evaluate that, whether that be a possibility of it widening or not.
Thank you. Any additional questions? If not, we'll close ROW 24-03. That would conclude our public hearing tonight. Again, I appreciate your attendance. We will move on to our regular meeting agenda. Roll call, please. Commissioner Eichelberry.
Dunlap.
Here.
Eichelberry, here. Hepner.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Tallman is excused. Ingram.
Present.
Manus is excused. Garrington.
Here.
Schilling. Here. Thomas.
Here.
Schneider.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Commissioner Eichelberry. City Council activity, Laura?
I have one update for you. We have the final plat of case F23-12, which is Daniel Churchill's second edition at 1203 Jersey Ridge Road in the Village of East Davenport. That was approved by council.
Thank you, Laura. Secretary's report.
Move the report.
Second.
All in favor of the report as printed, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It will remain the same. Comp plan, anything new, Laura?
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. We do not have any zoning activity, or for that matter, subdivision activity. Move on to future business, Laura.
In addition to the recommendation for the Fifth Street right-of-way vacation, we will have two public hearings. One for a rezoning request, and one for a zoning text change.
Thank you. Any communications or other business, anybody? Seeing none? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor of adjournment signify by aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you for your attendance.